Bonjour. What's up, Milo? How are you doing? Good to see you nice and early. Look at me, look at you. We're all nice and early. What's up, Wiz? Ciao, ciao. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. Just in case you're expecting me to speak some fluent non-English, you will definitely not get any here. I'm very good, thank you, Wiz. How are you doing? I changed the angle a little bit, also changed the lighting, so we'll see. I kind of like it. It's like a little bit of a softer light. This light in the background is something I was doing for work, so I've changed it up a little bit to normal, but and I've got my big light up here instead. Usually it looks a little bit more like this, so it's quite a harsh light, but it does help me stand off from the background a lot more. But I think sometimes it's a little bit too harsh, you know. I think we'll switch that back, switch it to the big light, a little bit softer. It's like a massive softbox up there, so it spreads the light out a little bit. I don't use it very much anymore anyway, so it's nice to use it for a change. What's up, Val? How you doing? Right, what I am doing today, let's whiz this around. Also, I've made a couple of other changes. You'll notice that potentially you can't see my phone anymore, because instead I decided to chuck it a lot higher and use the 3x zoom. And then using the 3x, that means that we're very punched in on the screen compared to normal. So you're probably going to be a bit closer to the design than normal. I try my best to make sure you're in frame at all times. But otherwise we'll move it down if it gets a little bit annoying. But it saves having like my phone just like here, just in front of my face. So just minor little changes to try and just keep progressing, keep moving. So today, the cherry blossom tutorial that I did on YouTube did very, very well. And so I kind of wanted to do like another version of it, but I was struggling a little bit to work out what it is I would do. Now, I had an idea and I was inspired by something I saw on Instagram to maybe do like a night version of the same design. Well, not the same design, a cherry blossom in the same styles, but with a nighttime sort of vibe to it, so behind the moonlight. Now, while I was waiting to go live, I've been sat here for a little while, I did mock something together which will flush out a little bit. So it's a little something a bit more like this. Just as a concept, I sort of chucked this together, wanting to keep that sort of same look and feel that we did last time with the cherry blossom, but with that nighttime feel to it. So a little something like that. There's a few things there that I just chucked on to see what they look like. So again, that's just a concept. So we'll work on that and we'll see what we can do. I think I want to make it like less purple really than that, and try and create something a little bit more, a little bit darker, but it's got some nice contrast of colour in there. Like, I still want it to be colourful, I still want it to be fun, you know. So yeah. What's up, Robs? How are you doing? Good to see you. So I'm going to use like the original palette, I think, to an extent, and then maybe just chuck in other colours basically, and just or adjust and tweak colours to fit the style that we're going for instead. So this is what I'm talking about. This is how punched in you are. So I don't think it's a problem, because it doesn't really matter what the toolbar has above. I think as long as I make sure that you're all in frame the whole time, I think we're good. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Right, let's just triple check that this, yeah, it's fairly dark, but I want to try and maybe start with a slightly darker background. So maybe try and bring that brightness down just a smidge, so that we've got some much darker tones to build on top of. Oh, thanks, Robs. I appreciate that. We'll see how we get on. I'm going to use the same brushes that we used before. I want to try and keep that same sort of styling, which I believe was under artistic. We've got this Taralea brush. We've also got the Nico roll brush, and go from there really. So I think the one thing I should probably do is get the moon in. That will help us. And look how beautiful this brush is every single time when you like draw a circle and you hold your pen. Go over yourself a little bit and then pop your finger on the screen. You get that beautiful amount of texture in there, which I think looks great. And if I keep doing that a few times, I might be able to just keep a little bit of texture on there. Like that's the moon. I think that looks pretty cool. Nice and easy, nice and chilled. Can I just say something as well? There is one thing that I miss so much every time I do a Joel Designs tutorial, and that is snapping. Getting that orange line down the middle of the screen drives me mad that you can't do it in Infinite Painter. It is just, it's so useful just to know and not have to care. It's like carefree, but in a good way, you know. What's up, Roro? And what's up, Tarkisio? And Joytith? I'm so sorry if I butchered that. How are you doing? The brush, this one here is the Nico Rull, and that's under painting. We can use that as well to create some background as well. So this is kind of my process sometimes when I want to redo something, but also kind of consider the palette as I go. So I'll block in some of this nice purple because we're going to have a bit of land down here. So I'm happy to keep that there. And then I want to kind of maybe think about kind of punching in a bit more colour in behind the moon, you know, but keeping that nice full streaky effect across the sky. So a little bit of moonlight in there, and then we can always go back in with this colour. Oh my god, keep touching all the edges. Again, just be aware as we go, the colours are going to be a little bit off as always. I have been doing a bit of research this week in terms of maybe sorting out a camera, but with the wedding to pay for, it is very much on the back burner at the minute. So we'll see. You'll have to just put up with me until, or put up with the colours anyway, the camera, until that time comes around. So a little something like that I think will look quite nice. And I think maybe if we go with white and the other brush, which I think was under artistic, and it's this Taralia brush, we create a new layer and we chuck some of this underneath, and then go around in some circles a little bit and try and just create something like that, but then blur that and see what that looks like. Give it a bit more of a rougher look maybe. No, worth a try. We'll see how we get on. Let's just gouge and blur that moon. We get a little bit of a glow like this. Maybe even set the color overlay to add or overlay, something that will give us a bit more color maybe. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's got a really cool look to it. Rob says I can never get the snapping to work. Drives me crazy. Oh, I love snapping. Snapping's the best. Okay, let's see now. I think because I need to add the land that's going to sit at the front here, it needs to be a very dark colour, but I don't want to make it too dark, you know. I don't want to make it sort of black. And I'm just going to go back in with the painting and the Nico Rull and try and just sort of create a little something with a little bit of a mound towards the middle point, and then go side to side and fill that in. So creating that little bit of land at the bottom. You can see that quite well actually, which is quite good. I might bring that down and also maybe bring this down a little bit too, so it sits in behind there, so it kind of helps you reveal that little bit of land that you want to demonstrate. I'm going to create a separate layer for the tree and start drawing that in as well. So let me know if you're hearing the, I can see we've got a good amount of viewers. Just be sure to drop into the chat and say hello and join in with the chat as well. It's nice to see new faces here every week, which is awesome. And also let me know if you did the cherry blossom tutorial already, and if you'd like to see this as a part 2 almost. Not so much a part, maybe a part 2, I don't know. I don't know what we would title it as, but definitely, you know, it's part of that family of designs really. So we'll chuck in some more colour and try and bulk this out a little bit more. I really loved doing that cherry blossom. So just creating those little curves, little bends, and then you've got to somewhat slowly keep reducing your brush size really. And the beauty with this particular brush is it has like a nice wobbliness to it. It doesn't have any stabilization on it, which I love. for this particular part of a design, because it just helps you really pull off that effect. So a little something like this, and then a little something over here too. Another one off the top. And these are the branches that you won't necessarily sort of add too much detail to, because they're just going to be shown if you make a cut through your cherry blossom and reveal the tree itself underneath. So maybe something like that. I think I'll probably adjust that a little bit. That's looking a little bit too 50-50 for me, like as in it's two sides only kind of thing. What's up, Jaroslav? How you doing? Really enjoyed the cherry blossom tree. I appreciate that, and it's good to see you in the chat. What's up, Lindsay? Lots of people really liked it, so I want to kind of, I guess, jump on that success of that one really, and just see if I can improve on it, or just try and run with it really. So this probably isn't going to take the longest, but it's more of a practice to sort of mess around with the different colours. I think before I carry on, just like we did in the one with the other cherry blossom, we'll add those nice highlights, and I think if I do them first, it might come across a little bit better. So I'm thinking, oh, that's the Taralea. We'll go back to the Nico Rull brush. So if you're new here, I do these live streams almost every Wednesday. I occasionally have a day off, so you can always come and hang out with us. This is that step where we're just going to add that little bit of lighting that's coming from the opposite side, and that will really help the tree sort of kind of stand off a bit more, and also emphasize the lighting as well, how it hits and lands on all of these. I'm going to add two sets of colors on here, so I'm just going to go up some of these branches, should I say. And this is where like the practice comes in handy, because I think some of these colors right now are probably a little bit too close to the original background that I've got here. So I think I'm probably going to have to adjust those colors and see what else we could do to make sure things have their rightful sort of place and stand off enough. So it looks as if, yes, we have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab both these layers. I'm going to uniform this down just a smidge and pop it onto there, and then merge that down. So bear with me a second. Let's just do that. What's up, Marie? Good to see you. How are you doing? Lindsay says, I'm good. Just told my friend good night at 8 p.m. As I had my art class. Please admire my commitment to the Create family. That's inspirational to all of us. I love that. I love that you get a little bit of time on a Wednesday that you put aside to come and hang out with me. I love that. Love that. So a few like sort of mounds here, maybe of like rock or something. I want to try and be a bit brave and add in maybe like here, like big rocks that, yes, they're behind the tree, but we can maybe just block in some land areas or land sort of masses just down here, and be brave and block in some rocks up here. Maybe run in behind there. Now that doesn't necessarily make sense, so I'm going to undo that. I don't want to go too crazy with down here just yet, because we although actually we could spend the time here first before we do the tree. I think if you like do something like this where we can like try and exaggerate the fact that there's like boulders of such here, we could really pull off that night light look to it. And then using the brush, but really lightly, sort of wrapping around the tree a bit more, getting that beautiful streaky look to it before we move into like the whites. And because it's backlit, we can add more color there. Again, it's coming through a little bit brighter to you, I can see on the camera, so just bear that in mind. Can't wait for the 31st of March time change. Then these tutorials will be an hour earlier, so so I can finally watch the whole thing. Oh, cool. I forgot that the clocks change. Is that different in every country? Rob says, Lindsay, I just told my husband to watch the sci-fi rubbish so I could come and watch. If nothing, I'm committed, Joel. Funny thing happened today, and it happened more as I'm drawing, but I saw a photo today and just thought I could draw that. No hesitation, just humble confidence. I love that. That just shows like you're happy and understanding of the program. I love that. It shows. I think you should embrace that. I think you should embrace the confidence, because I guarantee there's no greater feeling really that if you actually then went and did it, that you do it and like it looks great, you know. So now I'm just trying to break up those shapes a little bit from each other. We'll probably come back to them. Let's jump to the actual cherry blossom part of this. So this is going to be where we kind of make or break it in a way. We're going to start with the dark. No, we're not. We're going to start with the lighter tones. And this is where I think some of the cherry blossom colors may change. And then that's where I maybe need to think, do I make this quite so dark or do I make it just fun and artistic? For example, if we go back to my initial mock-up of this, which I was just, like I said, doing before we came online here. This one has like a little bit of color, and then the like little bit of the cherry blossoms are, you could argue, are like artistically overexposed. You know, they are a little bit brighter than they probably would appear in like a real life scene, but I kind of like that. You know, I think it has that artistic look to it. So if I turn that off, we've got a really good foundation already to build on top of. So I think we'll try and roll with that. And I want to kind of keep the process the same. I think it'll be really fun if we manage to pull this off in exactly the same technique. So we'll see how it goes. Lindsay says, I'm gonna use the photo as a reference tomorrow and draw it before I started your tutorials. I'd have looked at that and thought, no chance. That's awesome. That's awesome. Lindsay, have you done the parrot tutorial that's coming out on YouTube this Friday? That will help you understand how to break down a reference photo if you haven't already. It's the same process that will also happen with the robin that you've all seen potentially on Patreon. If you've seen that, that will help you really break down a reference photo in a really manageable way. So this is our backdrop again. So just like we did on the YouTube tutorial, the cherry blossom, except I'm going to really try and just darken up in here. Although actually these ones are on the opposite side of the tree. So you can see from my layers, this is just something to note with like a tree. You can make a base layer, and underneath that kind of gives you like a bit of filler content really. Because these ones are facing the light, they're on the opposite side to us. They are going to be the brighter tones. Everything in front of us, which I'm going to create a new layer for now, is going to be the darker tones. So by leaving them kind of more colourful in the back, they would be getting the light. So that is technically accurate. So we'll bear that in mind, and we'll carry on and crack on by creating these little blobs of colour. We'll see how this works out. Currently I keep looking over at the camera and it's driving me a bit mad that the colours are a bit inaccurate with what you're seeing, but we'll carry on. Like I said, I've been putting a lot of time and research into potentially getting a camera, so we'll see what we can do soon about improving that. I do always want to keep improving the gear. What's up, Joseph? How you doing? Okay, so let's try and get these darker tones in. So this is the back side now. So you would kind of leave like a little bit of light around the top edges where some of the pink tones would be catching the light. Likewise, maybe on the edges as well. Definitely like on the underside down here. You could leave like a tiny bit here and there that's just catching the light, you know, just a little something. So this one I'm doing lots of dashes, lots and lots of dashes, and I'm going to take this really close to the edges as well. Try and really bulk that in, and then grab this darker tone, adding even more darkness to this back area of the cherry blossom. See what we can do there. That's not too bad for a minute. Again, following the same techniques we did on YouTube, you end up getting to a point where you're kind of like, I've just created two massive blobs. But if we mask them, each one of them, and we start to chop away, now this might be easier to do it like this. We then go ahead and I think we use the Aurora brush. So we go to Artistic and the Aurora and make that a bit smaller, and we'll start chopping away into here, creating little gaps. So these are the gaps between all the leaves, like so. So this is our backdrop that's getting sort of hacked away into at this point. Breaking the image down, trying to create that nice randomness to it. What did Rob say? I have to say I sleep, eat art. It fuels my life, and I do any kind of art style. Just try all sorts of things, but I'm really rubbish at drawing, sadly. How long have you been doing it for, Rob? I mean, you don't even have to answer that, but art takes practice and just consistent time. So especially if you are the type of person, like you say, who likes to try lots of different things, that's just your curiosity, and I love that. But it also means that you're not able to sort of maybe stick to a style for too long to try and master it. So that's just something to maybe consider if you want to try and maybe stick to something for a little while, see how that sort of sits with you. But your creativity is obviously very eager to learn and try different things, so there is not a problem with that. I'm going to turn that backdrop off. I'm going to bring in that top layer and try to now break this layer up as well. So cutting away into here, also attacking the edges. Now the only thing I'm going to do differently on this one is lately I've been messing around with a brush called Snow Gum. It's in the it's the built-in brushes, and it is a really fun brush for creating like petals. There's a really fun rainbow design that's come in at the end of the month for Patreon supporters that will use it, so you want to keep an eye out for that one. So you can see there we're kind of breaking it up, and I've kind of maybe hacked away at quite a lot, but the benefit is that in a second when we then load in the backdrop as well, you get a lot of that come through. But we do need to, this is where the practice is going to come in, which is nice for me to do. Those colours are probably too bright at the back there. So I think what I'll do is I'll bring that back in on its own, and we'll learn from that, and we will add in some darker tones. So we will go back to the Terra layer, keep it small, and we'll definitely lock in the darker tones. You've got to keep that nice balance. You can't have too bright highlights and nothing else to go along with it. Contrast is what makes highlights and shadows really come to life. Just a lot of contrast. So I love this. I love this random few edges that are just getting a little bit of the pink colours again, and just seeing them just stick around. They look like the just a few little bits of cherry blossom that are just catching the light a bit more. Now that I'm not really a fan of. Let's take a look at what I did earlier and see why I like that one a little bit more. I think it's this extra layer of the petals on top. Okay, let's learn from that. Carry on. So if I was to create a new layer, and we go in with the organic Snow Gum, that's where that brush is, guys, if you need it. Organic Snow Gum. It's this brush here with like the little petals that I think looks really nice, but I don't want to add too many, and I just want to see what it looks like. At the minute, to be honest with you, it looks like a bit of a mess, so I might redo it. Potentially, we might just use this brush. What if I grab the dark tone down here as well? That's a really useful brush for this type of piece. Okay. It is giving me the effect I want. It's just like a bit too blocky in here. So I think maybe I need to potentially be more adventurous with cutting even more out of there. I think that's maybe what it is. Let's also go into here and add in some of the other colors as well. Artistic and Terra layer. Because I think, unfortunately, the massive dark patch that is sitting there, is this? No, it's not alpha locked. The dark patch that's sitting there is just, it's a bit too bold. And then let's go back to here and let's see what we can hack away. Is it the base layer? See, I don't know whether sometimes you find this bit interesting because it's always really, I kind of like sometimes the challenge of trying to work out how we can like revive a piece, or if I feel like a particular part's not quite going as I want it to. So I always think, Christ, does this make for any good viewing? See, that looks a lot better because it's a lot thinner. You've got the gaps in between. So I do need to be a lot more brave with hacking away at that stuff, you know. That's on the backdrop layer. See, that looks loads better because you can see the gaps that come through. Little note to self. And then I think we just use this like empty layer up here to get in some of the brighter tones. Like some that like, maybe I need to go straight to white. Jesus Christ, that scared the life out of me. Killer Tofu, if you're here in the chat, be sure to say thank you. I don't know why that was so loud. That was terrifying. Killer Tofu, if you're here in the chat, appreciate you becoming a supporter over on Patreon. Enjoy all the tutorials, and be sure to say hello if you are here. And also message me if you need any help with anything. I'm always hanging around. Robs says, I saw that one. Oh, Rob's 9 years. And then Lizzie says, and you know what, Joel, this photo I'm going to have a go at a landscape. I'm going to do a landscape by choice. And you know what? And you know when you first started posting lots of landscapes, I was like, nah, my nemesis. That's good. That shows that you appreciate the challenge a little bit now. I like that. So Marie says, I've been learning the drawing genre of chill hop runes, where some of the drawing is animated, and I think I found what I like to draw. Oh, awesome. Can you let me know what that looks like? I don't think I've ever heard that before, so that would be really cool to see. Milo reckons, or somebody, was it Milo? Somebody says a cream colour. Oh, it's Rob's. There we go. There we go. We'll add some cream on there maybe. Maybe this will be the nice bit of contrast that we need at the top. So I'm thinking now using the snow gum here just to add in little patches of colour and leaves that are just... See, that's like a little bit too much in there. I'm not sure about the cream. Let's just undo that for a second and go back to... maybe like a red. So there's something not quite right, and I don't know what it is yet. For a second, I'm going to go back down to the tree. I'm just going to carry on with that and see what I do about adding the highlights in. Whether or not we make them bright white or we add in like this extra colour here that I'm about to place on. Because that will help me then know what the final highlight colour should be on the tree. Sorry, on the branches as well. So trying to like match up my two highlight tones. See, I'm not sure whether I like how bold this is. This is interesting. It's quite striking, and I think if I was to keep the tones really moody, to be honest with you, as like even just as like a thumbnail for the video, I don't think people would click on it. It has to be a little bit striking. It's got to have a little something to it that's a little bit different and a little bit edgy. So I've always got to consider the game. The game's the game. Oh, Killer Tofu, what's up? Thanks all. I definitely check out the Discord. Well, I appreciate you becoming a supporter over on Patreon and for a whole year as well. Congratulations. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. I can't even get that to replay anymore. Lindsay says, it does make for good viewing because you go through the drawing process, and seeing you even say I hate it teaches me that it's normal and not to give up with a drawing. Exactly. Killer Tofu then, his first message says, hello, I'd like to come in with a bang, just getting started with Procreate, and your tutorials have been fantastic. Thank you so much, and excited to keep learning. Well, that is awesome, and it's a pleasure to be part of your drawing experience as one of your first tutors. I appreciate that very much. That's something I love, you know. I get messages like that quite frequently, but I just picked up Procreate, and your tutorials were like the first ones I did, and I love that because I remember what that was for me. That was me doing a flow tutorial like in the early days, and like it's also like really nice for me to know that like this one, my videos are going straight out to people, which is fantastic, but also I don't know, maybe with somebody joining you early doors, like in their journey, to stick around for a while. So I love that. I can be the first person in your journey. See, that looks better. It's a little bit like it's got a little bit of a pink hue to it. What's up, Kevin? How are you doing? Good to see you. For a second, let's jump back to the old, not old, it's not even old, it was like a couple of days ago. We'll go back to the other cherry blossom tutorial. I just want to look at a few things in there and just see what we can sort of break down and see what we can see that I really like. So I think I'm just getting a little bit ahead of myself, and Lindsay's probably right that I always do this, don't I? I always say, oh, it looks crap, I don't like it, but then eventually come around to the fact. So looking at this one, first of all, I really like the cherry blossoms that are falling from the tree. That adds like a little bit of motion and movement, but also there's something happening, there's something moving, which I really like. We've got the flare, which is also like something I like really doing at the moment. And so I don't know whether or not the moon changes the whole scene quite a bit. And also there's something that I did on here that I haven't done yet as well with the tree is the leaves is there's a color dodge layer. Was it multiply? Yes, see that in the top right there? Lauren Carballo, a new subscriber on the old YouTube. See that little change there? That just adds like a nice shadowy area, which I really like. So that's something I need to break down. So what I'm thinking is, looking at this one, the scene that I'm going with at the minute is very almost monotone with the fact that it's purpley. And there's not a lot of browns like we've got here with the oranges and the browns of the tree. So I'm thinking, do I try my hand at trying to keep it very close to this colour scheme, as close as I can, using more variety of colours such as this, and then also we've got clouds down here which I can introduce into the other scene as well, up in the sky behind the cliff on the opposite side. So we're kind of imagining that this is the cliff from this side. This would help, wouldn't it? We're kind of imagining that the one that you just saw, we're looking at the cliff from the side, and then we're imagining now that we're sort of going to get behind the tree looking up at the moon. So we're kind of on that cliff now instead. So that's maybe where I could go with it. But the change of the lighting really does do a whole different vibe to it. So I'm thinking I go back here and give it another crack, but this time using the other colours. So let's go ahead first of all, and I'm not gonna first of all redo my work. For a second, I'm gonna just duplicate everything, or group it, duplicate it. Oh, we left the moon out. And then we'll get in here and we'll try and change up the colors to match the original, which I think was this, into here. That's nice. What did we do this on? Okay, I don't mind that. Let's alpha lock this layer and try and change it to this color, I think it was. See how that immediately gives us the same vibe as the other one, but we can adjust it. And then if I was to change the background, this is where I'm going to need your input, so I hope you're all ready. I love that, Robs. To have the trust the process in your mind when you're at the ugly stage, 100%. Some clouds with the moon falling petals. Yeah, that's exactly what we will do. That is exactly what we'll do. Milo says that's what I have in mind when with the drawing process is trust the process. I know I need to get merch for this. Someone mentions it a little bit further down. Gonna keep on about merch, Joel, until Joel pulls his finger out. Yeah. Okay. All right, relax. Okay, now. Relax. Let's I think I used this colour in the background, so maybe we'll use the Taralia maybe. I don't think it was that brush. That kind of gives off like a cloudy vibe. Interesting. Oh, I love that. That darker tone in behind there. And then that kind of leading up towards like a separate layer. Like, I don't really want to use a soft brush if I can help it, but like a little something like that where the moon does have like a bit of a glow to it. Let's redo that background a second. I mean, that already looks quite nice, just leaving it like it was. Because we've got a few things to add in. We've got the petals to add in, and we've also got the petals, and we've also got the light beams that are going to come through the moon. Okay, let's leave that like that because that gives some nice separation. I kind of like that as it currently stands. That doesn't look quite so bad, but we're going to be ballsy and we're going to get rid of the cherry blossom completely and redo it. I think I like that. I think I like that the moon has like a bit of a glow to it. It's a little bit of a colour. Okay, all right. Fucking God, Jesus Christ, you lot. Right. If we're making some merch, what do you want? I'm thinking just keep it simple. I'm thinking a black hoodie and jumper. Maybe that's it. And a logo of sort in the middle. Not logo, but a trust the process branded piece in the middle. And if the companies allow it, whoever we go with allows it, maybe like the Joel Create logo either on the sleeve or maybe on just a tiny little Joel Create logo on the back, or no logo, I'm not sure. But I have an idea in my mind of what the trust the process is going to look like. And I might even outsource it, to be honest with you, because I just don't have the time. But maybe I'll have a go at it and give that to them. I don't know. Keep it simple, trust the process, and your Patreon on the sleeve. You got the whole URL, like www.patreon.com/JoelCreate. Duplication the life out of it. Which one was that? Black hoodie with your logo on, trust the process. I would like that. Yeah, so I'm thinking just a black hoodie. And maybe the invert of that, so in white. We can't have the pissing hell. Marie, listen, you're a wily old fox with your YouTube channel, right? You're experiencing it. No one's gonna want the Holland hashtag the Holland written on the side. She's taking the mick out of us, chat. Okay, this actually looks pretty sick. I'm enjoying what that background looks like. Trust the process, man. Listen to yourself. You say this all the time. What if we did? Okay, let's go with that. Let's try and get these cherry blossoms back in again. Now from memory, I actually did it like this. I think the older gang who actually know what the Holland stands for, the joke of it, don't really hang around anymore in here. That was like Kirsty, Julie. I'm trying to think if I've missed somebody else. There's regulars still, like Kevin and yourself, Marie, and I think Milo. You might have been around for the joke of that, and Dobby. Yeah. Yeah, so Milo definitely was. Yeah, people have moved on. Have left me behind. don't get frustrated by stuff like that. People have hobbies and they dip in and out of them all the time. It's lovely though to see like a familiar face when they will like drop me a message on Instagram or comment on something or in the Discord. It's great to see. Okay, this one's already nicer because we've got separated areas. I like that a lot more. And I did that in the tutorial, I remember, on YouTube. We had sort of separated, segmented spaces of the cherry blossom areas. I love that though, the ugly process. I really like that phrase because it's so true. What's up, Claire? There's another regular from back in the day. Back in the day. How are you doing, Claire? It's good to see you. And Dobby says I miss all of them. And then Claire pops straight in. Lindsay says, I noticed on this one you're more dashing, but the last one was more circular, round and fluffy. Yes, this one is trying to do a better job of learning from why I didn't like the other one quite so much. And then from memory, I think we went straight back in with the same colours on the top. With the blobs again, from memory. I have a terrible memory. So there we go. We'll see how it works out. We do the backdrop though, because the backdrop allows us to have something to sort of peek through. And I love that. And then these are the ones that sit on top of the branches and sort of hide them a little bit. Lovely. And then let's get in with the reds again, and then we darken up the areas that we can see where we've purposely created little blobs of colour. But with the backlighting, it's kind of interesting because you kind of have to leave the bottom side and the top side as the darker tones, and everything else just gets ignored because the way the lighting is. Let's see if we can pull this off and bring it back. So we are it's fairly bright at the minute, so maybe we will have to do something. Oh, maybe we do that. Oh, good thinking, Joel. Maybe we do something where we add in the a blend mode in here to maybe even like take away. So we keep the process the exact same, but we use a blend mode to take away some of the color and break it up a little bit. That one there just strayed a little bit too far. Likewise there too. And I think we make a slightly smaller one just on this edge up here, because we can get away with maybe dashing and tapping away a few times just to create random areas of shadow, because the shadows will be fairly bold. I'm much more enjoying this one than the other one. Let's mask this one and go back to the Aurora brush to start cutting away. I saw this earlier with Claire, losing your pen. It's so annoying that it doesn't have a like a Find My in it, or like just like the air tags. Like, why does it not have that in it? It makes no sense, because there's no way of retrieving it. Like, if you lose it in the house, or at least to know it's in the house, or just like the Find My tags, at least be able to just try and like make your way towards it. You don't need it at least the navigation had been like it's nearby and then like in that direction. I'm so glad this tutorial did well, you know, the other one. I really liked it. It is nice, obviously, when a tutorial does well. But one that you really wanted to do well is even more enjoyable. It's not that you prefer like one design over the other, you just kind of, I don't know, you just kind of know people are going to like it. It's a weird sort of thing to think of. I need to get rid of these ones down here. This one has far more character to it. I like its random shapes. Maybe we get in here with some very small dashes. Am I in frame? I am in frame. Make sure to shout at me if it's not in frame. Okay, I like that a lot more. And I think the key to maybe making this really pop is some bright white snow gum on the outside edges. Like some leaves, so you won't see it there, but you'd see it here. And this is where we could really make this come to life, is like a few like leaves like that that are catching the light on the opposite side. So like the odd little speck here and there that's just catching the light. Oh, I love that. And obviously they're not going to show just in front of the moon, but it's like these odd little flicks of petal that are just catching the light. And then let's just carry on with the same effects and just see what we can tweak towards the end. So I'm thinking this light pink color. I have no idea what brush we used. I think it might have been the null. I think it was. And we just add in some dashes down here for some cherry blossoms that just fall in the petals and the leaves. And they'll look great in this color because they will have that like kind of backlight to them. Now I could start to try and like direct them, like almost like a wind to them. So they, rather than falling, they're kind of like being carried by the wind. And we want to keep some a little bit lighter. We don't want to have them all be super vibrant. It can all be a little bit lighter here and there. That's already coming together a lot more. They want you to lose it, that is true. It seems that is the one thing that does need a locator, yeah. There's also one called Device Tracker. Just download it, it will check it out later. Okay. Could you use an altered snow gum for the falling petals? Should we try it? It's a good suggestion. I do have a altered snow gum, but I think the snow gum on its own will do the job. And they are like petal shapes, so we could do like a few large ones. If anything, that might be the one, you know. Who said that? Well done. Well done to you, Robs. That's nice because it gives us some like pressure sensitivity, so we can mess around with some light pressure, get a few smaller ones, and then a few larger ones as well that are just, you know, they're huge, but still we can do that. I like that. I like that one a lot. Still not 100% with the top area, but let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can maybe like duplicate the layer, maybe set the blend mode to something a little bit darker, like a little something like an overlay. It does look quite nice. We could get really ballsy with it and do a multiply. We don't want to lose the color factor too much. We don't want to go too dark. I mean, saying that, weirdly, black looks pretty sick. So what we did last time was, and then we just grabbed, say, like the soft airbrush, and we like kind of just fade that out a little bit. So we just let like the darker tones sit there, and we can like take them away from the edges and let the darker tones like sit in there. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's a little bit brighter. Lindsay, right, whoa, what happened? What are you saying I hate you for? Oh, sorry, I misread. Yeah, I just gave it to Rob because Lindsay just drives me nuts. She's just in there taking the piss all the time. Let's just do a few things that I think will be like nice effects that probably take my mind off the fact that I just can't stand that a little bit. Is we'll use the Nico roll, and where we've got a gap like here, we're going to go from like the center point. See, this is where the moon could probably do with being a little bit higher, or we make the cherry blossom a little bit lower. Because if we move the moon to like here, I've got more of an angle to direct some beams of light. I think that looks better because the darker purples come through the look how cool of an animation that kind of looks. And I've run out of space. Kind of cool. Oh, do you know what? I kind of like it off to the side. Or does it look nice at the top? Yeah, talk to me, chat. I need you. So 100% you're saying off to the side, not like up here. Are you sure? Because you're all saying side, but I'm not feeling like you're sure. Are you sure? Lindsay. Alright, fine. Jesus, what? So up here, yeah? A little bit behind the tree, or do you want... Yeah, you take it. You take it. You know what you're doing, I don't. Up here in the corner, a little bit behind the tree, or do you want me to move the tree for you? What would you be happy with? Middle is boring. Jesus. Kev, man. Give me a break. I'm trying my best. Right there. I'm not moving it. Once you say that's it, I'm leaving it. Don't be messing me about. Oh, and you want me to move the tree? I'm just watching. I'm just watching the chat. Milo, I swear Milo's told me like on the side like 3 or 4 times. I'll do it. Relax. Jesus. No, there you go. It fits in the top left quarter nicely there. I try to keep these streams as PG as possible, but there's times where you lot make me feel like I'm gonna completely throw that out the window. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Guys. Am I moving the tree or not? Oh, you can't even see. Jesus. Ignore this bit here. I'll draw it in. I apologise. Are we moving the tree or not? I think we're moving the tree too. What do you mean? Why are we doing a poll for the moon? You lot just said, didn't you? The tree is fine. That's fine there now. Wait, it's fine where it is. Is the tree fine where it is now, or the tree needs to stay in the middle? Yeah, it's in Bad Boys. Right. I'm fucking in charge here, right? The tree's moving over to the right. No! Anyone who says middle, I'm booting you out of it, right? This is enough. This is enough. It has to move over to the right. It's for balance purposes. No, guys, this isn't a debate. This is happening, right? I'm moving it to the right. It's for balance purposes. Leave the tree where? Where do you want me to leave the tree? Woo! Right, I'm moving the tree. The tree's moving to the right. Leave me alone. It has to. It has to move for balance. You have... Right, if you leave it in the middle, it's unbalanced. It's unbalanced. Yeah, I'm keeping it on the right. Why am we... Yeah, you lot are right. We have to move the tree for balance. We have to. That... It looks okay, but if we move it over here, we have a top quarter and a 3/4 filled in over here. I tell you what, Roro is about 5 seconds from getting banned from this chat, or timed out for at least 5 minutes. Yeah, it's going on the right, so we are agreed. Thank you. Right. God, blimey, Jesus. Right. I need to change this now. I didn't think we were gonna make it, chat. I really didn't. I thought that was gonna be the end of us. I really did. I thought, well, we had a nice run. Kevin says, with the tree on the right, the composition flows from bottom right to top left. There we go. Yeah, it works. Right, leave me alone, you lot. I've got stuff to do. Why is this? Oh, it's alpha locked. think we get a bit ballsy here, you know, and I think we get rid of some of this down here. I think we leave the brighter tones and the highlights just purposely a little bit closer towards the center to draw the user's attention in that area, because it is quite distracting to have all the stuff all the way down into the bottom corners. I think it needs to stay up in the top right. Stay up on that top edge. This isn't a debate, I'm just saying. I trust you, Joel, you are the teacher. Well, sometimes it don't feel like it. I feel like you lot are in control there. Lindsay, and now Kevin gets credit for asking the tree to be moved. I hate you. Right, let's do this. Right, so let's do what I was planning on doing, which was the light beams, and seeing if we can get some nice light rays coming through with the Nico roll. So looking at the gaps here, you've got to kind of look from the center point there and kind of like draw a line that's coming across. So like there's a gap here in the cherry blossom, so we can just draw in a few lines that make their way through it, and keeping the pressure really, really light and the opacity really, really low, we should be able to draw in some nice beams of light, and that like start like here, make their way across a little bit more, just like some just a little bit of the tree, something a bit like this. We'll refine it in a second a little bit more. I maybe need to go ahead and lower the opacity down and do completely straight lines, maybe. Moonbeams, absolutely. Kevin, I'm sorry, I don't actually know what that means, so I'll leave you to that conversation. I'm guessing it's an American thing. I think that looks quite nice. Now the only thing we don't want to do is add in too many. We do want to add in the breakages between there, and then maybe grab like the soft airbrush as an eraser and take away from the edges over here. So they do break through, but they get a little bit more faint towards the edges. Just that little bit of breakage through there. We could maybe Gaussian blur them. That gives it a much softer look, obviously. It doesn't have that painting look to it. Do we keep the painting look or not? Let's also take a look through here and see what lighting effects we get. Overlay will look quite nice, but it's not quite strong enough. I wonder if it's duplicated a few times what it would look like. Rubbish. I'm not sure. Well, I can't show it in the middle now, bro. It is far gone now. Rob's is off. See you on Discord. I will post my latest piece. Ironically, it has some cherry blossoms. Oh, awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. And I'll see you again next week, hopefully. Now, what if we... No. What if, again, the whole thing I'm thinking, just so you know, the whole time is... how can we make sure this stays relatable to the original version that we did in the first one? I want it to follow the exact same style. So we have a few things we still need to add in, which is clouds and a lens flare. So the flare obviously can go through here, but maybe we do something where the flare is at an angle. So if we tap there on the moon, in fact, we might have to tap in the middle of the screen first, rotate that and do it like this, and then maybe scale it. Oh no, that's not the one. I wonder if I've got to, it looks great behind there. Yeah, see, I want it to follow the exact same style. So we'll go from this point here, and I want to try and get it going at like a 45-degree angle across the screen like that. So it kind of goes from the corner. Set that to overlay, just like we did in the other one, and just see what that looks like. I don't hate it. We do have these extra brighter layers in behind, so maybe I would have to take one of them away, at least one. And I think we duplicated it twice on the original one. So again, if we duplicate that twice and take away... No, I like that, like warm glow. And we only do one of them. That fits a little bit. Let's just carry on. I want to get all the elements in before I start to make judgment. We used the Terralia for the clouds. Oh, my nose is killing me. Okay, let's make that a little bit bigger. Let's try and add in some clouds and stuff over here, keeping them nice and light towards the top. Now as a scene, this is nicely coming together for me. I think that's almost enough. Let's just redo that again and see if we can pull that off first time. Let's start at the back with some slightly smaller ones. And then increase that size up and try and add in some sort of cloud work. Again, I want to just follow the same style as the last one so that the brushes are the same, the techniques are the same. We have like a similar sort of aesthetic to it. I just think it'd be nice to have that nice nighttime variation compared to the daytime one. And I think maybe if this was set to like maybe a different color, I might even go dark with it, or even overlay. Overlay doesn't look too bad. It's just a little something in there that's not too, that's too much. A little something back there that's not too much. What do we think? The lighter clouds, or the normal clouds like that, or the overlay ones which are like that? Probably a mix between the two, I would imagine. I really like that when it's a little bit misty. Overlay. With that lighting change, that changes up our petals a boatload, and that actually helps me a lot. So you lot might have had a good idea, not that I'd ever tell you. If that layer was alpha locked and I went in here and started to brighten up some of these leaves up here, is this the brightest tone we have? Just now we have a directional light source, we kind of have something to work off of a little bit more, where rather than it being a backlit scene, we now have a direction, so we can brighten up these edges a lot more. What's happening? Oh, that's the wrong layer. It's this layer. See, now we, yeah, see how that looks loads nicer. You can add in little specks. Okay, I'm gonna probably have to run over this one more time, another time. Those light effects make sense down here, but not, well, no, they do kind of. Shall we try and do like a real, like loose looking moon of some sort? So like something that's not a circle, that's something a bit more like that. If that was scaled down in size, maybe make that a bit smaller like that. Do we prefer that kind of look? It's got that a little bit more of a looseness to it that kind of matches where we were going with it. Okay, well, this turned out good. I'm very pleased so far where we are. Trust in that process, eh? I like that the background's got a nice amount of texture in it. I almost feel like there could have been more texture down here because there's such a large amount of area. But with it being nighttime, I guess it does make sense for it to be like that. So out of curiosity, what would this look like if we did something a bit different where we grabbed that and like maybe scaled it down quite a bit more, moved it over to here. It's far too small. So these are things that I always look for, is like a balance. Can we look to maybe reduce the amount of sort of ground to sky ratio? Does that help us in any way? Can I grab? No, not them. They need scaling down too. Fitting back in place. See, to me, that moon looks far too big in this particular style. I'm just going to try this out as an idea. You know, if that was a little bit closer, a bit more towards the middle maybe. Ignore the box around the outside, but it's a bit smaller in the sky. I might do that, Lindsay. I'm trying to keep the ground a little bit minimal because it's like a few of the tutorials recently is we're not interested in certain areas of the design where we don't want the user to look. The focal point here is the cherry blossom, that's it, and we don't want them to be looking at the ground, so I don't really want to add too much detail there to bring the eye all the way to the edge down here. I want them to be looking just here. As a ratio of sort, I prefer this. So this is what it looked like before. It's too big. I can see that straight away. Whereas I feel like the other way around gave us a little bit more space. It's maybe an in-between, isn't it? Maybe just an ever so slight in-between. The moon being smaller is better. But I feel like we've also got space here that if we were to not do the cherry blossoms, I'm just going to roll with it. We can always do it differently again another time. Where's this box coming from? Is it the lens flare? Much nicer. I think we've got more space now to be playing with the sky. So we need to find a brush that's really going to work with it, but for a second I'll use the stipple collection. See, although there's like a whole, you know, keep it nice and loose and whatnot, it can be quite tricky. There's lots of things you still need to remember and consider. See, I feel like we could do something like this where we like dash away in the sky. I feel like I haven't used the stipple collection for ages. I don't want them to get lost in the cherry blossoms though that are falling. You know, a little something more like this. And we give each one of those a tiny little gauge and blur. Ooh, that's quite pretty. What do we think? So we would be following the same techniques really well. And that works out because we've got a light source top left. See, looking at that, I much prefer that from what I can see on the screen now. And then this background area down here with the clouds, I think we can get away with adding one more layer in front of it, where they're a little bit brighter, just a little bit. You know, just like a little something here. Just to fill this corner a tiny bit. Not too much, just a little. Oh, much prefer that. You like the stars? I like the stars too. I think they look cool. I quite like that there's like a little dot here where I started really firm with the moon. You can just about see that, right? There you go. So you can see that there's like a little dot for the center of the moon, which makes it look like, usually I would make the moon really large like I've done here, like that kind of shape and style. But by doing it like that, you kind of get the illusion that it is a lot smaller, but the glow it's kicking off is huge that makes it look like that. I really like that. The cherry blossom looks much nicer with those darker tones at the back. That I really like. This looks nicer because it's got not a lot going on. I think maybe I would even tone these two rocks down. The stars in the back look very cool. Do we think, though, that they fit the style? I think they do, but I want to see because they're a stipple collection, not like a... We could sit here with the Nico roll, but it would just take forever. Whereas doing something like that, you get a bit of both. And do we think that the cherry blossoms then... Hang on, there's a few things, isn't there? That's too much. That's just too much. Too much. The cherry blossoms fall in underneath. Do we think that they're necessary or not? Yes, we do. So do we think that the stars fit the style? That's the question for you at the minute. Stars fit. Okay, cool. Alright, well, we may have it. We may have our nighttime version that's slightly different but very much the same, because we don't have the edge of the cliff. I mean, Jesus, I mean, we could literally just make it exactly the same. Okay, now we've got a question. So looking at this, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me go grab the other one. Now we have a question, and I wonder if it is possible. No, did we do it? I don't know. I'll ask you. I'll find out. How far? Not here. 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 Coming back into it and seeing the from seeing the other one, I'm very happy now. I'm a happy man. Right, so let's scale this up in size. In a second. Hold fire. I know you're waiting. Okay. Question we have. What I'm thinking is, I've just pasted this one in here. It's actually a rectangle. It's not a square, so it's chopped off at the bottom. Do we try and edit the original and make a part 2 rather than a separate video? Because if you look at them, we've got a cliff and a tree. Simple as that, obviously. We have a cliff and a tree. Do we keep this one like this? Or do I say to you, duplicate the old canvas? So you've got the old one safe. And then we're going to go ahead and edit colors, edit everything to make a part 2. So imagine this style applied to that. That way you've not got to repeat every step, but you've got a whole tutorial of like editing basically, not so much creating. So that's a pro and a con. That one, that looks better than that one, and that one did really well. Interesting. Could you just do a nighttime version of the other one? Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Ugh. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because if somebody doesn't like the first one, they have to do it in order to do this one. And that means it takes them twice as long just to do the new one. I do like the new one more, and that's interesting because I really like that one. Like, that one has a really nice, I don't know what it is, it's just like the looseness of it, and it's fairly simple as a project, you know. This one's got a little bit more going, but it's that moon for me. I don't know what it is, the lighting just looks very cool. Well, I think maybe then I'll do it as a separate project, because if we make it a two-parter, it does mean that someone's got to do the first one, and at the end of the day I can put it as like an end card at the end of the video to say, if you like this one, you probably like this one as well. So we'll maybe just make it just two separate complete drawings, but I'll mention it in the intro that there is another one available. If you want to do it, it's over on here, there's a link in the description. So maybe we'll do something like that instead, I'm thinking. I appreciate the love on this one. It started off a bit rough, didn't it? Should we have a look where we came from? We came from... This was my initial one that I did while I was just this was me just like literally waiting for the stream to start. So just chucking some stuff on and seeing what sort of sticks. Then we went from that to this one, which is a little bit more purposeful in what I was trying to achieve. It still looks kind of cool, but then we went from that, and because you lot started shouting at me, we ended up moving it all around, and we went to this. So that's a nice little bit of progression, isn't it? So that to that to that, and that's all thanks to whose suggestions was it? I think it was Roro, I think it was. Yeah, they're scrolling back now, I think it was, yeah. Oh no, it's Rob's as well, yeah. So yeah, couldn't have really done it without him. And also, I think the colour contrast is a lot nicer on screen than on there. So that one's looking obviously a lot lighter. The contrast at the top of the sky here has got a really nice amount to it. And also this doesn't look quite so like brown. It's got a little bit of a darker tone to it. I'm wondering, as an overall design, if there's anything I can do to tweak the colours in any way. So if we were to duplicate that whole group and see then, so I'll rename this one, I'll call it tweaks. And original. Let's get into the tweaks one and just see if we can adjust any colors. So I'll do this quite often of just trying to see if there's like a better color that I could use for down here. So that's a slightly more blue tone. It doesn't look that bad. That's very, very dark, which I'm not completely against. Let's see what the brownish tones on the side of the tree would look like if they were like a blue that kind of matched the night sky a bit. Maybe drop the saturation out of them a little bit and drop the tones down. So that's another alternative we could go with, which is a slightly more blue colour on the trees rather than the brown colour here. So that's actually what we started with. But if we end up all the way over here, at this point, they're a much more bluey grey colour. I didn't even know this worked. What the heck is this? Didn't even know you could do that. Did you see that? I did not know you could do that. If you're adjusting a layer, let's make this like really bright and blue so you can like see the difference from what the original looked like. If you tap and go to preview and hold preview down, you can see what it looked like before. So if you can't really see, but I'm using the sliders of hue, saturation and brightness, and you can hold down and see what it looked like before. That's very cool. Did not know you could do that. Every day's a school day. Now that actually looked okay about here. I'm going to take a screenshot of that, just to remember what those hue sliders were. This is our tweets layer, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply that. Let's do the same with the highlights as well. Change them from that like pinky tone to a little bit more of a blue maybe. See, that looks very nice. We've got like a really nice blue tone. So if we compare that to so we can either use the browns of the original, or we can use that like kind of more nighttime tones with the blue hue instead. Bloom is a lighting effect, so you can go to adjustments and bloom, and then depending on what layer you're on, you can like blow out the colors basically and make them super vibrant. It's really, geez, I need to turn those alerts down. Nearly cacked my pants. I don't think there's much else I would really change. What about this layer here? If we change the hue saturation on this, I mean, I like it when it's a little bit more red in the sky. Again, a bit too mad on your screen. Let's tab preview. The white looks more realistic with a slight little bit of the orangey red tones around it. That's mental. That's like a blue. That blue kind of like looks like it matches up nicely to the colors that we put on the tree. That's got kind of like a sci-fi look to it rather than a nice cherry blossom design. It does make the pinks of the cherry blossom stand out more to do it that way. Again, if I show you the difference. So basically my tweaks at the minute are a lot of cool color changes. These are nice warmer tones, but if we undo that, you've got these nice like bluey tones. I'm not too sure, but it's worth always looking at to see the differences. You could bloom the petals to show that they're catching light. We could do that. Should we have a look? Let's go into the tweaks. That's a good suggestion, Robs. We will go to our petals here. We'll go to bloom. Zoom in on them a little bit, see what they look like. If we can get any bloom out of them at all. I need to change that size and bring that right down onto them. We can really brighten them up. Ooh, that looks really nice, doesn't it? That's got that like, see, the only problem with this is that does it get too close now to the stars in the sky? That is a good idea. Let's see what else we can come up with. If we probably, I mean, maxing them out looks great. Is it a bit much? Who knows? It gives it quite a majestic, magical feel, doesn't it? Let's take a screenshot of that so I can remember the numbers required. Cool, that's a nice little tweak. And again, we compare the differences. Oh, the petals 100% look so much nicer. They stand out a little bit more. All of these tweaks that I'm making now are kind of like, let's explore the options, and then we'll just go ahead and just maybe go back in and see what we like and add it to the original only. Like, I do like the bloom of those. I think they do look very cool and they catch the light. They look very majestic and kind of magical, which looks very cool. The only thing at this particular point with this variation is the pinks are like just too pink. It's going to be an absolute pain to change, but I would argue that they're a little bit too pink, and I can't be bothered. It's an interesting idea. I think if we go back in here, let's turn off tweaks a second and look at the original. No, I like the original more, I won't lie. Let's go to duplicate our, so we went up to about 77% of the petals. We've got to drop the transition down, I think, increase the burn, and maybe drop the size. Do the stars take away from the petals? Do the stars now need to not have a glow around them and just be dots in the sky? It almost feels like there's too much going on. If we turn the lights off, if we turn the stars off completely and just leave the petals. What do we think? Or just less stars? Do we try and make just the stars a little bit higher only, so there's a good amount of distance between the stars and the tree? Like that? I like both. I think the stars fill out the sky. They make it a lot less bland and boring back there. But those petals like that look very, very cool and give that magical feel. Oh, Milo likes it without the bloom. Like that. What do we think? I think my nose is getting redder by the minute, I think. No idea why. I think I've got like a spot or something. Meh. Oh, which one looks better? That one, okay, this one fits the style more. This one matches the style that we did the first time. Without the stars, but it wasn't a flipping night scene, Joel. What's up, Jay? How are you doing? We are doing a different version of the cherry blossom, but like a nighttime scene. Oh. Okay, you're suggesting potentially less stars. Do I have like a star? I've got glimmer. I hate glimmer. I think I created this one where it's like a lot more spread out. So I'm trying to keep them quite top heavy there instead. That's with the glimmer brush. I don't like that. It's rubbish. Not a fan of that brush at all. We need to go stipple collection again. I'll try and keep these a little bit sort of few and far between instead. Which I think is the right suggestion. Just a few in the sky at the top, and then duplicate, change it to add Gaussian blur. Much better. Stars looked better, no glow. Stars looked better, no glow petals. Are you saying the stars look better with the glow, but take the glow off of the petals? I can't say I've seen that row, to be honest. Rob's coming in with those good suggestions. Stars, no bloom on petals. I think it's a good suggestion, but I think I agree. I might suggest it in the video as an option. I think I prefer this one with a little bit less stars, a little bit more minimal, because the other one was fairly minimal. We didn't really have a lot going on. So if we break this down, we have to create the landmass first and then the tree. We then highlighted the tree and we did the same effects with the cherry blossom. We drew the back layer, we drew the top layer, and then we erased from both, exposing the tree in between. That's then a dot for the where the moon is, and then more of the Terralia brush, and then a few Terralia at the bottom. It's not that hard of a tutorial, really. Here we're just adding color at the bottom and the top. Okay, we've got there's a few extra layers in here, isn't there? Let's get rid of the ones we don't use. We didn't use that moon. What's this? Extra petals. We were attempting to maybe do this, weren't we, with the light rays. I think they look rubbish. I don't think they don't fit, you know, something like that. It could look okay, but it's probably not the right tutorial to do it in. Let's just check that bloom one more time on the petals. Bloom, that's 70%. 10%, nightmare. This is the only way that they both make sense, but I think one has to glow and the other one has to go. So I think it has to be the stars. And potentially I might go back on what I said and bring in the other stars that were filling up far more of the scene. Lindsay, shut up here. I'm joking. I was so late today, I missed this. You can always watch it back. It's always on the channel as well. It was a nightmare because someone said something earlier, and I'm not taking the mic now. I actually can't remember who said it, of the ugly stage, and that is so true. So where did we end up again? Just so Jay can see, because I think it's worth seeing. We had that. So we went to, hang on, if I try and do this so that the video, we have that. Hang on, stop. That. No. Turn that off, turn that on, and then we can undo that and go backwards. So this is what I started off with, Jay. This was right before the stream was starting, and I was thinking, I'll just quickly mock up where I was thinking I would go for the design. Something a little bit like this. And then we ended up going to this, where I kind of refined the idea a little bit. We were messing around with the colours, and everybody started shouting at me to move stuff out of the way and get the moon over to the left. So we had a big old ruckus about that. Once we moved it, we ended up with much more of a different scene to it. Hang on, let's go backwards. I've messed up the order. And we definitely did do the right thing. So, you know, massive pat on the back to me for that. And this is where we ended up. So we've definitely gone through that ugly stage, and we come out the other end. So it's definitely a matter of just patience. But like, I know I'm joking around quite a bit, but in all seriousness though, I do it every week, and I'm glad somebody pointed out to me that I do it all the time. And it's probably a general thing, isn't it, that a lot of people will hate what they're doing until they see the result. And it's that purpose, isn't it, of getting through the entire process to get to the result. You know, a lasagna looks horrible until it's cooked. Do you know what I mean? It looks minging, but once it's cooked, it looks fantastic. You've got to go through that stage of preparing it, layering it, filling it, cooking it. And we cooked today, ladies and gentlemen. We cooked real good. Oh, Jay just said about snow. We could do a snowy version of this. Oh, beautiful greys, white backdrop, and then just snow. If this was funky, what the? What? It's 10 to 10. You just waltzing in here. Right, Lindsay, who are you talking to like that? I'll get the merch done. I tell you what, tomorrow I'll speak to someone. I'll get it sorted, all right? But in terms of, in a genuine point, once I've got the design sorted, I'll order a few first. The problem I find sometimes, and this is what happened the very first time I did merch, which has completely stopped. Sometimes the companies that make it, it's naff. It's not a good enough hoodie that you would be able to like wash a few times and still look okay. You know, when it goes horrible, the shape just gets like completely knackered. Some of my American friends probably don't know what that means, but like it gets completely ruined basically. It just like loses its shape, everything like that. So I'll be ordering one or two first. So you'll never know. One stream you may see me with it on early doors, like as a sort of trial in terms of the quality. So I'll get on it. I'm drowning in work here. I was talking to my friend yesterday, and I was saying like I thought like adding the Joel Designs channel was like, I said, alright, it's just one extra video a week, and even though I'm like replicating a lot of the older work I've already done, Jesus, I am drowning in work. Like if you were here last week, you know that the weekend before, whatever, a couple of weeks ago anyway, it was my friend's wedding, and his wedding was on a Wednesday. We were going up on the Wednesday. His wedding was on the Thursday, and then we had Friday off work to recoup. and I ended up in A&E with him at like 1 o'clock in the morning as the groom, and didn't get home till 6 o'clock ish. Had like 3 hours sleep, and I thought over that weekend, I thought, well, I slept the whole of the Friday, Saturday, and I thought, well, I'll be all right. But like it's hit me like an absolute sack of, like it's really knocked it out of me recently. And then I was ill last weekend, so now I'm just like, what I'm trying to get at is like, you only need a few days, and now I'm like behind on my schedule. So it's like, it's really adding a lot onto the palette in the minute, or the plate, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot going on, and I actually do feel like I'm probably drowning in it a little bit, but my schedule's changed, so I should have a little bit more time in the week to crack on and get some videos done. But Joel Designs is definitely taking up a lot more time than I thought it would, and even then I feel like I'm not dedicating enough time to it. But I know that it's like this week it's about to hit monetization on YouTube, which basically means like it can get started on earning revenue, so it can start making money for the ads that you see on the videos. But like at the minute it's like hard work, so hopefully if that starts to, it makes it more worthwhile. But yeah, there is a scenario where I'm probably going to have to potentially take like the odd live stream off in the next couple of weeks to catch up, but also just mentally just relax a little bit, because I have to have time to draw as well. Like today's been great. We've got a concept ready to go, and I'm very happy with a sort of part 2 to that style of the cherry blossom. But there's loads of other stuff I've got to be drawing for Patreon and everything like that. So definitely a lot on my plate at the minute, and God, I keep feel like I've been swearing a lot in this stream, so I apologise, or even attempting to. But like, it's really taking it out of me a little bit. But it's fine. Like, I'm a very positive person, and I know it's worth it in the end. Because what I think is, Joel Designs, if you're not aware, is my second channel. It's a second channel for Infinite Painter, where I'm doing a lot of the tutorials I've already done, but using Infinite Painter instead of Procreate, because Infinite Painter is available on iOS and it's available on Android. So I can reach a larger audience. Like, we're at 1700 odd subscribers, which is really, really good, since like only like the 25th of December, and it's now the 1st of March. So we're like 2.5 months into this project, and it's at 1700 subscribers. I think on Friday or Saturday it will have hit the 4,000 hours of watch time, which then means you can start to make like ad revenue off of it. So what I'm getting at is it's already going very well, to the point where I mentally don't feel like I can walk away from it or give it a break for like a week or two, because it's just doing very well. I just don't feel like I can do it. If I stop and I've committed to a year's in my mind, I will kill myself for it. No, sorry, I don't mean that in a literal sense. Let's just relax. I'll kill myself in the terms of it will kill me the fact that I left it, or that I took a break. So, but then I also have my priority of Patreon. I then also have my priority of Joel Creates, and I've got a fiance I've got to give time to, and the F1 starts on Sunday, and Hogwarts Legacy's out, and it's like, I can't do it, and I've got to sleep. Nightmare. So that's enough. That's just me, like, that's not wanting sympathy. I like to open up to you guys and tell you, because then if I end up taking a week off next week, which I don't think I will, but maybe I will, I don't know, you guys at least understand and know that there's a lot going on. Yeah, last week's stream was crazy. Yeah, after that absolute disaster of his the wedding was amazing. And like, as we're going to bed, that will happen. So it's nuts. Yeah, guys, if you're not already subscribed, please go and subscribe over on Joel Designs. Even if you never watch a video, just make me feel nicer and happier. Joel Designs over on YouTube. And you can follow those tutorials. You can just download Infinite Painter there, iOS and Android. So you can get it on your iPad and you're ready to go. Milo says it is a lot of work, Joel, and you have a wedding coming up. You need time. Yeah, I know, and that's the other thing, right? March is here now. That crept up on me. when we have our honeymoon in late August, in the period up until then, I need to be getting videos ready for the 2 or 3 weeks that I'll be off. So like, I've got to get like tons and tons of content ready to go, and then a little bit more so that when I get back, I'm not like on the cutting edge of where everything is. I need to be ahead of myself by like a good distance. So it's going to be mad up until summer. So I'm like thinking, you know, Joel Designs may take a hit, who knows, but it's like I'll just carry on and carry on and carry on and see where we end up. I swear like a sailor too, but on here I try not to. I swear unnecessarily, but it's just, I think there's certain people where, like me, that it's just a fluent part of your vocabulary, and it's a bad thing, but it is it's awful. Mate, Funky says wait till you have kids. Yeah, the thing is, Funky, I hope, right, let's bring the mic close. I hope at that stage, right, that this has got so big, the whole Joel Create stuff, that like I'll have like a little like office at the end of the garden or something, like a separate building, and then I'll be able to be like, oh, you know, I've got work to do, and you know, if it gets so big, I'll be like, listen, do you want to have the lights on this week? Do you want to have the heating on? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I've got to do it. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. Wonderful stuff. Why is that? Why? Right, well, that camera's just gone, so that's wonderful stuff. That wraps me up, basically. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. You're absolutely right, Kevin. Absolutely right. Lindsay says she's going to take over the lives for me. Jesus. Kevin says, I didn't know how bad I had gotten in the army until I got out and was around civilians all the time. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, see, do you know what that is? That's Mrs. Create hearing me say all this stuff that, you know, when we have kids, that I'll be hidden in the end of the garden separate and just leave her to deal with it. And she's probably just tampered somehow, hacked into the camera and just kicked it off. Right, well, she was obviously telling me to leave you lot alone and leave you to the rest of your days and evenings and afternoons and wherever you are in the world. I know you can't see me, but I'm talking to you. Have a wonderful week. And also, if you haven't already seen already, I'll go full cam, but it makes no difference because you can't see me. I just need to hide my screen for a second and go back into here. If you haven't already seen over on Patreon, this tutorial went live today. So please be sure to join Patreon and get this exclusive tutorial and have some fun doing it. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll probably see you next week, but we'll see how the week goes. I should be able to catch up with some stuff, so we'll see how it goes. And thank you for persevering through the ugly stage with me today through that design and coming out the other end. And we ended up making something really good. So as much as I've pulled your leg a lot today, I appreciate your suggestions. And we'll make sure to thank Robs for all of them. Enjoy your weeks, and I'll see you again next week probably. And keep an eye out for the YouTube tutorial. There's a nice little painting of a parrot design this week, so be sure to go and check that out. I love you all very much, and I'll see you later.